Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Costume Co channel. And today I am here with another costume designer interview. And my guest is Laura Montgomery. She is the costume designer of the new show, The Miniature Wife, which is just up there, so I can remember. And it's on Peacock, and all episodes are out. And I believe, sorry, I said all episodes are out. Is that correct?
I believe they are as well. Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. I've watched the entire season. So, anyways, first off, Laura, congratulations on the show.
Thanks.
And I'm very happy to have you. I'm a big fan of what we do in the shadows. So delighted to have you here to talk about your new show.
Oh, thanks for
Um,
having me.
and are you're in Toronto, Canada, I
Yeah,
believe. Yeah. So we're in the same hometown. Oh, by the way, were you born in Toronto?
I was. Yeah, I was born and raised in Scarborough, which is a suburb.
That's where I live.
Um, really?
Yeah,
I'm
no
going
way.
there later
That's
today.
amazing. Yeah.
I love Scarborough. Like I will
Me
always
too.
stand Scarborough. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't born in Scarborough, but I have an osteopath who's from Scarborough, and she's like, I was born and bred here, and I love it, and I have my business here, and I'm like, that's amazing. Her and her mom. So, but anyways, I love to always meet fellow Canadians, and especially when they're costume designers, and I can support our fellow Canadians. It's amazing. So, but since this is your first time here on the channel, I was hoping I could learn a little bit about you and how you got the costume design bug and, how that whole journey for you started.
Yeah, I think it was something that was always there, but it was a bit of a slow burn to develop into a career. Um, and it's really in hindsight looking back on it. As a kid, I was really interested in sewing, putting together outfits, playing dress up. I even had a series of little, and now I realize that they're costume sketches, but I thought they were kind of fashion sketches. But it was, at 40, 50 of them, and it was different, events that this character was going to. And then there were like there were like folkloric themes, and she was dressed in different, and I would spend a lot of time just, really drawing the costumes on this character, basically. And then it took a bit of a, a learning process to realize, first of all, that I didn't know it was a career at all. Um, and then kind of figuring out, growing up in Scarborough, I didn't know anyone who worked in the arts. And so figuring out how to get a job in the arts, establish yourself in the arts. Can you make a living working in the arts? And so it was a kind of a meandering. I did a degree, and it all helps now. My degree is in French literature and European history. But I did art history courses, and I was doing some design courses as electives at university. And then it was slowly through working as a side thing on like music videos, short films, doing a lot of freebies. And I started making industry contact and realizing, like, okay, like there's actually a great film industry in Toronto. This is a job.
Yeah, it's a career. By the way, can I ask you what university you went to?
I went to U of T.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. So that my father and my stepmother both went there. I went to TMU, which we called Ryerson at the time, though.
Yeah.
um, well, anyway, so I wanted to find out though, how did you get involved? Like, you've had this wonderful body of work, but how did you get involved in the miniature wife? How did you come to that project?
That was, I would say, it's not very exciting. As costume designers, most of us have agents, and quite often, our work comes through connections. But every so often, a project will just come through our agency, and this one came through my agent.
No, you previously won an Emmy. Congratulations on What We Do in the
Thanks.
Shadows. And so, so that's sort of like, I don't know how you would describe that fantasy. I don't know how you describe that genre. It's not really horror, it's kind of horror and comedy,
Yeah,
but a
yeah.
little, but surreal. And then now here we are in another sort of fantasy story. Are you attracted to that type of show, or is that just sort of how it's worked out for you?
I think I love period, and I love builds. So a show like Shadows was perfect because even though it was contemporary, it was still a lot of period because of the different ages of the vampires. I really love getting to do costume builds. And I think, if it's on the ends of the spectrum where you would have like maybe a police procedural on one end, that would be, I would say, the least exciting for me to do, or something where you're just copying exactly a costume that exists in the world. Um, it's more difficult to bring character into that. I think when you're able to actually create a world and build a character and tell the story through something that has never existed before, it's more of a challenge and it's definitely more exciting for me.
Mhm. Oh, and also with shadows, you got to do a lot of, like, cultural influences, the Iranian, like, I love that, all of those influences you had there. Now, so I understand, I didn't know this until after I saw the show, that it's based on a short story by Manuel Gonzalez. Manuel Gonzalez, hopefully I got that correct. So when you first came on board, what stood out to you about the tone of the story?
I think that was what really hooked me. Like, the tone in the script really mimicked the short story. I read the script first. I think I was sent the pilot episode, and then I read the short story, and the tones really matched, and I loved it. Reminded me of, like, kind of, George Saunders. I got George Saunders, I got Miranda July out of it, where it's this kind of heightened, um, pushed, uh, reality. The characters are very relatable, and their issues are very relatable. In Miniature Wife, it's this marital discord, this power struggle between a married couple, but then I love that it kind of pushed it one step beyond reality, where the characters are giving into their impulses, that in a way that's really relatable, like, less
Yeah.
pushing a button and miniaturizing Lindy. Like, it really is sometimes by the grace of God that you stop yourself from doing something like that. Like, just the other day, one of my kids was had a really big blowout fight with his best friend, and the friend was like, "I'm gonna delete the Minecraft world we've spent months making," and they were just, and because
Oh,
they're kids,
yeah.
and he was like, do it," and then he did it, and he pushed the button, and I thought, like, that's exactly, it's a kind of, like, impulsive behavior that humans are just drawn to.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Now the now in terms of the story, while we're in this sort of fantasy, like I don't know, sort of heightened reality, everything still feels fairly grounded, especially with our miniature characters. So, did you want to tell me a little bit about that? How you tried to keep some grounding with the storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I learned from working on Shadows, actually, because the elements were very fantastical, and you have to get the audience to buy into the fact that there are these vampires living in a house in Staten Island. And one of the ways to do that was to make the human characters as naturalistic as possible. So it really felt like the real world. And so in Miniature Wife, I think more of the characters are pushed, and there is a heightened, I guess, sensibility, and a heightened, the tone is a little bit pushed on most of them, but I really tried to ground it as if, think about the choices that they're making. Like, where are they shopping? What's their thought process behind how they're deciding on what they're drawn to in the morning? Um, Even down to Janet, who is RPW's love interest. She's kind of like the third in command at the lab. She has that little Hermes twilly scarf that she wears across the season. And that to us was like, okay, it was actually Johnny Weir, because I worked with him on a skating show. He told me about the Hermes twilly being like an entryway luxury item, and that a lot of the figure skaters, once they start making their first little bit of money and they want to buy something luxury, they can afford that because of that little scarf it's like a couple $100. And so it's a way to
Oh,
have
hmm.
something luxury, that's not breaking the bank. And so we thought for her, she wanted to treat herself and she wanted to get herself something special. And so I think, I don't know if this does answer your question, but uh, pushing the style, elevating it, making it more heightened, but keeping it grounded by really trying to put a thought process behind all the characters' choices.
Now, one of the questions I have for you, obviously, because you're in Toronto, and the shoot was in Toronto, is that correct? So, I
Yes,
wanted
yeah.
to know, do you, maybe you've established a bit of a community here. So, do you try to shop locally, or do you source locally? Like, how does that work for you?
We definitely do, and on this production in particular, as with a lot of Canadian productions, there is because one of the reasons shows like to shoot in Toronto is because they get a tax credit. And so you also get a tax credit on purchases that are made in the province, and
Oh,
anything outside of that, there's an extra surplus. So there was a push from production to try to buy locally. Um, and so we did try to do that. But as you know, in Toronto, the
yep.
access is really like the shopping is good, but the access is just not the same. And so when you're trying to build out closets for people who, used to live in New York City, who are supposed to have access, who are able to, we don't have Saks anymore, we don't have Nordstrom, we've kind of lost our big department stores. And if you're thinking about a character who goes to Saks every weekend, so there was a lot of online ordering as well of brands that either you can't get here or you just don't get as much selection. A lot of the boutiques are great. There's a store called TNT in Toronto. Tried to use there's some great Canadian jewelry brands. So Jenny Bird and Biko, we used a lot of their jewelry on Lindy's character in particular. So you have someone like Elizabeth Banks and Matthew Macfadyen, and they have access to everything. So of course, Elizabeth is going to come and ask for brands that, we're familiar with, but we can't buy them in Toronto.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of online ordering as well.
Yeah, it was funny because I had Antoinette Messam on, and she was saying now that the Eaton Center, or Eaton's, or sorry, was it Eaton's? Yeah, now that Eaton's is closed, that kiboshed a lot of access to clothing shopping options.
It really did. I mean, the department store, like the Bay, that one-stop
Mhm.
shop where you can shop, they
Oh,
have
sorry, it
the
was the Bay.
room
That's what I
for
was.
the
Sorry, I
high
got.
end.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you can kind of hit a lot of character beats there. You can do a dad there. You can do a son there. If you need lingerie, if you need, like, it's all there.
Mhm.
So we're missing that now.
Yeah,
We
for
have
sure.
Simon's,
Yes, I'm
which is
going
a
there
new
today. By the
department
way, I
store.
haven't been.
It's great. It is great.
So my next question was I wanted to dig in a little bit on some of the characters. So I had gotten some of this from your show notes that Les's wardrobe draws from 90s Armani, Kevin Kline, and I mean, I'm assuming it's the actor Kevin Kline and
Yes.
Eric Clapton. So how do you take such specific references and then shape them into something that is a fully original character? And I've got some pictures of Les here. I can show you
Oh,
while you're
great.
talking.
Yeah, that was something that kind of looser 90s silhouette was something that Matthew
Mhm.
brought to the table that he mentioned. He had seen a parent at his son's school who had a really distinctive way of dressing. And already I was thinking that Les as a character is very um, impressionable. He always, he's very performative. He wants to dress in the way, oh, there's the tomato cufflink. Um,
Oh, we'll have to get into that. Okay.
yeah. He dresses in a way that he thinks a rock star scientist should dress. So I think he always wants to be kind of on the cusp of like, oh, he goes into the men's boutique and the sales girl there says, this is the new thing, and he like has to have it. Um, and so looking at the references, it's a lot of figuring out, okay, we built a lot of his clothes. So using the collarless jacket, like that Armani silhouette, it's in the
Mhm.
fabrics as well, like trying to find a really kind of drapey, flowy fabric, having unstructured tailoring. Um, Eric Clapton with the pop of red in the belt. That was an inspiration that we took. And then
Oh,
just
okay.
translating them into his character and what would fit on his body shape. But he wears clothes really well. So it was about really finding, and we had to build a lot of it because it just wasn't in the stores, like a very loose pleated trouser that is baggy and just kind of floats. Um, and there's a pomposity to him that that we wanted to reflect in the costumes.
Yeah, he's trying to get away, I think, from that sort of typical nerdy professor type.
Yeah,
He wants to be more elevated. He wants to be, he's very aspirational in terms of
very
his
aspirational.
yeah. Yeah. Neither characters are willing to take a back seat, really. They're always trying to what if there's a
Yeah,
little bit of War of the Roses in this, by the way. Did you find that? A little bit of War of the Roses?
very much. Yeah.
Mhm.
We were
Now,
pitching it as War of
oh
the
yeah.
Roses meets Honey, I Shrunk. the
Yes,
kids.
yeah, Honey Shrunk the Kids, of course, which is Rick Moranis, who's Canadian as well. So that's really a wonderful homage. Now, of course, we have Elizabeth Banks, who, of course, is I love her in the Hunger Games, but she plays Lindy Littlejohn here. So she's very polished, a very stylish. So do you want to tell me? I read again. So some of the designers you look to, and I'm assuming this is because Elizabeth Banks maybe suggested them, but Gabriella Hearst, Celine, and Max Mara. Hopefully, I'm saying those correct. So, did you want to tell me a little bit about her looks?
Yeah, definitely. Um,
I don't know what order you want to
she,
go in.
yeah, she is living in St. Louis, and I've never been, no shade to St. Louis,
Hmm.
but the idea for her living there, they've been there for, I think, is it 10 or 15 years? And they really made this bargain. I think she's there not by choice. After getting the Pulitzer, she agrees, they're
Hmm.
taking turns. She agrees to move with Les to St. Louis. She's not excited about it. She thinks after a few years they'll be back in New York. So her wardrobe for me was really reflective of her desire to like stay current, keep her identity as a New York
Hmm.
woman. I think we figured, she's either shopping at high-end department stores or boutiques, or she's traveling back to Manhattan every month or every quarter to restock her clothes. She has a high level of taste because of where she grew up, and she just, wants to have the really the more elevated clothes to. Oh, that actually, that jacket is a Canadian
Yeah.
company called Hyso.
Oh,
That
nice.
shearling. Hmm.
Beautiful. I was going
Yeah,
to say
they do
also, you're sort
amazing
of dealing
coats.
with her with, you've got flashbacks as well, like when she gets the Pulitzer. This is like many years before, obviously. So, and I guess it's indicated through her different hair. So, did you also have a bit of an evolution of her, from that point until when she becomes a professor?
Definitely. That dress was one that we built actually, because in the script it was supposed to be a Donna Karan gown. And there was a gag where the zipper rips when she's wearing it in the dollhouse. So we knew we would need two. So we ended up building it, but using a Donna Karan style of that's actually a stretch tulle fabric and having
Oh,
it be very drapey and elegant and a real counterpoint to the red ball gown that Les chooses for her. I wanted it to feel like body conscious, elegant, unstructured, um, and so, yeah, that this is her in 2010 at the height of her success, winning the Pulitzer and just very much herself, feeling great in her own skin. This is her choice. This is her moment. Um, and then as the years go on and they're living in St. Louis and she begins to
mhm.
lose herself a little bit more, um, those are some of the choices. And then thinking about her job as well, because she's working as a professor. So there was a touch of academia in her clothes. We don't get to see a lot
Mhm.
of her work clothes because she's mostly in the dollhouse. But
Mhm.
the look in the pilot, it was her kind of academic look. It's a Ralph Lauren dress with a blazer over top, and she has the Max Mara trench. She has the Celine, which is one of my favorite handbags. I'm obsessed about it. I use it on Matlock. I used it on this show. I just think it's like such an elegant work bag. So she has the Celine handbag, and an idea that I had. My sister's actually a university professor in the States. And at one point, she mentioned that really she kind of dresses up when she's giving lectures because she's aware of the fact that she has to command the attention of, is it 200 students? And she's standing there and they have their computers and they have their phones. And so, how can she make what she's saying more compelling to them? And part of the way she does it is through clothes. And so that was a thought I had for Lindy as well, that she is the professor and she's wanting to command the attention of the students. And so that was a thought behind her work looks.
And Laura, I'm just realizing I missed in the questions. I missed asking you about the Dior dress. The Dior, is it a
Oh yeah.
Dior or is it a Dior inspired dress?
Dior inspired. In the script,
Dior
it was
inspired, yeah.
supposed to be Dior, and so that inspired the design of it. But that was another one that we built,
Hmm.
and I kind of used it was a pastiche of different Dior inspirations. So the bodice of one dress and the skirt
Hmm.
shape, that new look, very full skirt, and this was really a counterpoint to the Pulitzer Donna Karan dress because that really flowy dress is one that she chooses for herself. And this is one that Les has purchased for her when she's kind of his arm candy for his
Mm-hmm.
party. And so it's corseted, it's meant to be stiff, constricting. It intentionally has a bit of that kind of 50s housewife silhouette because this is the night that she does get turned into a little mini doll. Um, so they were meant to be kind of two ends of the spectrum, but still look gorgeous.
Absolutely. It was funny because I went to there was a wonderful Dior exhibit at the ROM, and I went through my pictures and I was looking and I was like, oh, I wonder which one it was. So like now that you're saying that it was sort of an amalgamation of other, you kind of combined the different looks from the new look collection, correct?
Yes, yeah.
So, oh, and I want to talk about Lulu. I only have one picture of her, if I can find it here. Here. So, you've got kids. I don't know how old they are, but
Yeah.
I think I was reading on one of your shows. I think it was what you do in the shadows. You were inspired, like you were looking at some of the kids' clothing. I think for young Colin or something. Uh, so who were you looking to? Were you looking at your own kids? Were you looking at any particular cultural influence on this?
It was not my own kids because they are boys.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry,
Um,
there I got it wrong already, and they're probably too young as well.
no, that's fine. They're 11
Was it
and
Colin
13.
Robinson though? Did you look to your own kids for Colin Robinson?
It was when, he was a kid and he was being raised by Laszlo in the house with under no supervision whatsoever, and so it was during COVID, and so my kids got really creative during COVID of, like, they were playing a lot of games, so they would layer, like, bathrobes, and they would have their clothes on backwards and swim goggles, and
I just love that. That's so great. Maybe they will be our future designers then.
yeah, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, for Lulu, it was thinking about, I think, my own teenagehood. She was very
Mhm.
90s inspired. The coat, I've always been obsessed. Do you remember the movie Uncle Buck
Oh my god, I
with
love that
John
movie.
Candy?
Absolutely.
The menswear kind of big trench coat that the teenage daughter wears in that movie, I have always loved.
Yes.
In 6th grade, my best friend's older cousin had a coat like that, and I just thought she was the coolest. So I knew that I wanted her to have that kind of like oversized menswear jacket, and it could have come from, they don't specify what school she's at, but she's studying at school. I think she's in New York. So she could have thrifted it. It could be a cast off of her dad's closet. This is a girl who has
Mhm.
grown up with a lot of access. Her parents have money. I mean, this is her bedroom in her parents'
Yeah,
house.
by the way, that neon sign, isn't that's just absolutely was that in the script?
It's amazing. No, no,
So
no.
great.
It's
It's so
perfect.
great. Yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
Um,
She's a bit of a nihilist.
very much so. And I think in the way she approaches her clothes, it could be, she has maybe some cast offs from her mom or her dad that she doesn't appreciate. That could be a Prada jacket that she will just throw on the ground in a bar. Yeah, that she just doesn't have the respect or reverence for designer items because she's grown up with them, and she's also very counterculture, very 90s inspired. We did a lot of thrifting for her, a lot of vintage. So there's usually a mix of, even in that costume that you showed, I think the lace top underneath was Urban Outfitters. The colorful sweater was thrifted.
Mhm.
The jeans might have been thrifted, and then adding a lot of jewelry and really giving her that kind of like rebellious eclectic look.
Mhm. She's got a great arc in the show, though. I really like her character, kind of like Uncle Buck, the teenager in Uncle Buck. Um, And now, next, I want to talk about Vivian, and I don't know if I have a picture of her.
Mm,
Fabulous! I've never seen this actress before. She was so good, though. I loved her.
amazing.
Let's see if I can find her. Did you want me to tell me a little bit about her? There she is
Yeah.
in the deep background. Did you
Yeah.
want to tell me a little bit? There she is. A little bit about her. I'd understood that you kind of went for a more structured look for her, and Alexander McQueen perhaps inspired.
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of McQueen in her closet.
Hmm.
I think on
There
the
she is.
page, And the way Zoe Lister-Jones portrayed her also is like just pitch perfect
Mhm.
because she even elevated from what was on the page of this character who seems very repressed, very very structured, very there's a precision to her. Uh, I took a lot from the script when she first comes in, and the two guys on the ladders now you can see they're wearing harnesses because when she does her initial assessment of the lab, she looks over at them and says that that's an OSHA violation, that they're up on the
It's just it's
ladders.
so funny. I knew what OSHA was. That cracked me right up. I knew, yeah. I knew about
Yeah,
the
so
health
the
and safety.
exactly, health and safety.
Mhm.
So the next time you see them, they have those harnesses and clips. And so she is that very, very like rule following, rule enforcing person. And so I wanted there to be the same kind of crispness and
Mhm.
tailoring in her costumes. I think that suit in particular is Armani.
Mhm.
This
Oh,
three
sorry, just
piece is a
smidged it.
Ritzia actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but the majority of the rest of her costumes were McQueen because you get the really like the strong shoulders, you know, she's the voice of authority in the lab, and the nipped in waist, you get the like the really solid tailoring. Um, and so that was the inspiration for her costumes, definitely.
I just
Very
realized
neutral color palette, monochromatic, blacks, whites, grays.
absolutely, yeah, and I'm gonna say this as someone who has a child with autism. She kind of feels like sometimes a little bit autistic, very like, she's very, rigid in her
Mhm.
thinking, and also her social dynamic is a little bit like it's like she's
Yes.
a little bit alien-like, it's just like she's never really encountered a human before.
Yeah, definitely. I think she interacts best with the cat.
Exactly, for sure, she loves the cat. I was gonna say, actually, this is something I didn't notice until or sorry, where did I find that picture there? This one here, I didn't notice this until now because I missed this question for you about the use of color, and I noticed she has red hair and red lips, kinda tying into the uniforms, in the lab. But, was that something that you talked to hair and makeup about?
No, that was not intentional. When Zoe
Okay.
first came in, she was a blonde, and so I
Oh.
think initially they just had to shift her from blonde because Lindy is a blonde. And
Oh,
then they
yes, that
settled
makes
on that
sense.
color. Yeah, just as
Mhm.
kind of a flattering color
Yeah,
for
but
her
it
skin
looks
tone.
really good. So I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about, so, we've got the GMO tomato, which, by the way, I think it's a real thing. I
It
or there
is.
was an apple. I remember there was an Arctic apple that didn't turn brown, so I believe there was a GMO tomato.
There was. It's true, yeah.
Mhm. So
And the
you've
photo of
used
the
that
guy who
color.
made it,
Yeah.
yeah. The photo of the guy who made it looks nothing like Les because we found the real guy.
Well, Les is very elevated.
Yes. Um, but the tomato did become part and parcel of his branding.
Yeah.
Um, it was, you know, it started from there's that line in the script where I think Hilton says that he's spent, I can't remember if it's 200 or $400,000 on designing his logo, that little ML.
That's so Les.
So less. And so thinking about, you know, this is a person who obviously is very invested in how he is presenting his company, his brand, and then seeing the production design, like Max Orgel's amazing production design for
Mhm.
the lab, which incorporated elements that already existed in the space, the walnut wood up at the top level, but
Oh.
then like the concrete and the yellow glass and the lighting, we really wanted to find for the lab coats in particular, it worked that it was a brick red that was in line with his GMO tomato colorway, which
Mhm.
pops up in his phone case, his little car, the tomato cufflinks, the red belt. He always had an element of red in his costume, be it socks, belt. Um, but we also, because this is an agriculture company, I wanted the lab to have a bit of an organic, natural feel as opposed to being very cold
Mhm.
and gray, the way you would think of a science lab. And so, you know, the obvious thought for lab coats would be white, but I didn't want to do white. And then we experimented with a few different colors. We experimented with olive, steely gray blue, and then I think I always knew, and Max always knew, and also the director, Greg Mottola, and our DP, Adrian Pancarrera, we were like all in on this color for the lab coats. But it did take a bit of convincing and camera testing because it's kind of a bold choice, brick red lab coats. But then I think when you see it in the space, the way it picks up with all the other tones, and I didn't even think about Zoe's hair actually.
Mhm.
Um, I did want them to kind of go away because I was aware of how many people would be wearing them because you've got less, but then you have all the other cast, you have all the background. I knew it would be a color that would feature really prominently, so it had to be something that would feel seamless in the environment. And
Yeah.
I think it does.
I was laughing because I was there's all this PPE in there too, which made me laugh because I know I've saw some wardrobe people who maybe you had these left over, like the face shield. I saw some wardrobe people wearing those during COVID, like over
Yeah.
their masks and everything. So back to the
Oh my
PPE.
god. That the mask plus face shield
Yeah,
was
it's just awful.
awful. Like being
Hmm.
outside in the winter, having to scrape ice off of the inside of the face shield, just like, yeah, that was
Um,
a lot.
well, finally, oh, yeah. So before I want to make sure we have enough time. I wanted to talk about the Barbie silk pajamas, pink silk pajamas. Let me see if I can find a picture of Lindy. Here she is.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the morning she like wakes up and she thinks she's just living in her regular, home, and then she learns that she's actually a miniature wife now. Do you want to tell me a little bit about this outfit?
Yeah, so those pajamas, she's in them for a lot.
Hmm.
So I knew we had to really get it right. One of the original ideas that I had for her when she was miniature was the idea of color blocking and contrast details, either around the face or just in general, because I knew that at times she would be very small in the screen. And
Hmm.
so that was one of the reasons for the gray piping, so that it would just like be a little bit of a pop there. The pink was to lean into the doll world, really. And then, not surprisingly, we couldn't find exactly the right pajamas. So we ended up making those. And it was a white silk. We dyed a lot of different colors. We tested the different pinks in the space with the lighting against her skin tone. And so we hit on that pink, which actually in real
Hmm.
life is quite a bit darker.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, and so that's you kinda always have to test it because to your eye, it looks one way, but then as soon as you get it on set with the camera LUDs, it's like it can really change. Um, and so we dyed the fabric, and then we made at minimum a dozen pairs of those because she has to, for just laundry purposes and also for stunt. She is harnessed in them. Her stunt double, I think, was harnessed in them. There were a lot
Yeah,
of those
here
pajamas.
it ended up on the poster as well.
Yeah.
With
I
oh,
would say
there's the
that
cat.
color is closer to the
Oh,
color
okay.
in real life, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's sort of a, given that she's living in a dollhouse, like having her be like a Barbie sort of is the
Exactly.
the obvious thing. Was that actually in the script, or is that just something that you came up with?
Were the pajamas pink? I can't remember. I don't think that they were in the script.
Mhm.
I don't think the color was specified.
So
It
that's a
was
nice
just sort of
evolution.
pajamas, yeah.
Now, aside from, you have your little Lindy, but you also or Tiny Mom, as she's called. You also have Richard and Nils, the reporter. So, what were were there technical challenges? Like, did they use forced perspective? Like, what was the way that they did the shooting?
What did they do? A lot it was honestly, it was a lot of green screen, mostly
Oh,
just a
okay,
lot of
okay,
green screen, yeah.
sure.
And so we would have to shoot it twice. So the scenes where Les is like peering in,
Yep.
it's a little doll and a reader off camera. And then conversely, Lindy, when she's talking to Les, she's talking to a green screen. The dollhouse set was a built set.
Hmm.
Um, and then and yeah, and then they pieced the two of them together.
That's so cool. So what did that require any technical challenges for you? Like you were saying there's stunts obviously because they're climbing like she's climbing up dental floss and all that kind of thing. By the way, I don't care. Even if I was miniature, I would never be able to do that. So, yeah. So, were there some technical challenges there where you had to add harnesses, like you were saying?
There for the stunt work, yes, we would have to make a costume that would accommodate for that. And one thing that because I'd worked on a show before on Gen V where there was a miniaturized element, and on that one, I would say it was more difficult because the clothes don't shrink. It's just the body that shrinks.
Ah,
So we were dealing with very oversized clothes and actual doll clothes that had to look like they were miniature but on a human body. So doing, like enormous stitch, like thread out of embroidery thread out of like thick elastic to look like the 1/12 scale of thread.
mhm.
Um, Thankfully, on Miniature Wife, their clothes also miniaturize.
Yeah, like Les takes care of everything there. All of her
Yes,
because like there's this one picture we have of him where he's like, "Here, I've made this for you." I don't know if this is a hair
yeah,
dryer. Oh, this is her bullhorn, I
the
think.
bullhorn, yeah.
Uh,
So we
and
didn't
then,
have to think about that, but there
yeah,
was for RPW, so the burger wrapper on Nails
yeah,
was
which I
one
have here.
costume. Yeah,
Yeah, that's so fun.
so funny.
I was gonna say, so I got this picture ahead of time,
Yeah,
and so I'm watching the show, I'm like, "Where's the burger wrapper? What happened to it?" And of course, it ends up just in the very I think it was almost the very last scene
yeah, the
where he's
tag.
coming out of the bag, the McDonald's
I
bag, that's like
know.
you made this out of Tyvek, I understand.
Exactly, yeah, it was just, Tyvek that comes on a roll, it's white,
Mhm.
and so we didn't know if we could even print on it, but you can.
Amazing.
And
You know
then
sorry, go ahead.
oh, yeah, we had to fudge the proportions a little bit of the printing of the burger wrapper because I think if it was too actual true to life scale, where it says cheeseburger wouldn't have been perfectly across his chest.
Yeah.
So we shifted those a little bit, but otherwise it's like pretty much a burger wrapper.
It's hilarious. No, I was going to tell you years ago, like my background's theater, and I was doing a Shakespeare play, and the designer decided that she wanted all of the suits made out of Tyvek. So
Oh,
we
wow.
made a full set of suits out of Tyvek, and actually, it sews quite well. It sews, but like I guess yeah, it's versatile. You can paint it, you can print it.
It was so sculptural. Like we
It
tried
is,
different belts on with it, but
yeah,
then we realized you can see the way it's forming around his body.
for
It
sure.
just didn't need a belt. It held its shape so
Yeah,
well.
and it's got a nice. I love it because it's got a bit of a nice, like, like what is it, crushed look to it, like a natural crushed look.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
washed it. So we did a bunch of wash tests um, to see, how many washes it could take to get softened and to get that crinkle. How much of the print would we lose if we washed it? I can't remember how many washes this ended up being. Um, I think one less than we did in the test because we were like, oh, that's too faded.
that's so great. So now, this has been presented as a limited series. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But
Yeah.
is there any discussion about maybe bringing it back for a second season?
I think, like, to me, it works really well. There is a definite end, and it
Mhm.
doesn't need to go on. But I know that the showrunners have written kind of a 3-season arc, and you can take these characters further. And so they have built out a world in which more happens. And then I guess that's just up to the appetite of Peacock and the cast to see who wants to. I think the cast enjoyed working on the show. The crew loved working on the show. It was a great experience all around. So I think everyone would love to see it come back.
Yeah, and
But
I think they've sort of left it open with Nils. He's still miniaturized, and then Vivian has been sort of set up now as a villain, I
yes,
believe, right?
yeah,
So that does sort of leave that open if they wanted to. But in terms of the Little Johns, that they have a nice little wrap up to their arc, I think.
yeah.
But Laura, I wanted to know as well, like, when did you finish shooting this? You must have you been working on other things? Like, what have you been up to since the show has been done?
That show finished last July, so July 2025. And since then, I did a super like funny kind of a Gen Z Friends comedy for FX. It's called Adults. It's the second season, and that was we wrapped that up, I think, in March. And yeah,
Oh, is that out yet, or are we
the
expecting it?
second season is not out yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And Gen V,
Um,
of course, I guess was canceled, but there's like, by the way, I just interviewed LJ about The Boys. So
Amazing.
yeah, so there's a new Vought Rising. You're not involved in that though, are you? In Vought
No,
Rising? Okay. But do you have anything else coming up that aside from this new show you were mentioning?
I'm on an indie feature right now,
Oh,
which
really?
is,
Nice.
yeah, it's like a psychological thriller, very reminiscent to me of those 90s, Poison Ivy, The Crush. I'm not into like gory body horror,
Yeah.
but this is more of it's a thriller. And then I, yeah,
You can't
I have
say
another
more.
project coming up at
You
the,
can't say
that
more
would,
about that yet. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you're so busy. I mean, that's really good, but you also have a
yeah.
family, so hopefully you're getting to spend some time with your family.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard, by the way, because a lot of designers I speak to, I know this sounds weird, but many of them are single or don't have kids. So I can't imagine how challenging that is for you, um, working as a designer and then also having a family. But it sounds like you're able to work in Toronto a lot of the time. Is that correct?
Yeah, I work here mostly, and I would love to travel. And if it's for the right project, I think there are international schools in Europe, and there are other schools that kids can go to. I'm lucky that I have my husband works from home, so that is a big help because if it's really busy, most mornings I leave before anyone else is out of bed, and there are often nights when I'm coming home and they've all gone to bed. Um, so it's it's a lot for sure. Trying to take time off, um, and be there, but then it's also it, I found that it gave me a really good perspective because
Absolutely.
yeah, the work is important and I really like what I do and I put a lot of myself into it and it is a really important creative outlet, but there is this other thing in my life that will always be more important. And so it's good to just, I think sometimes you can get really wrapped up in either like it's a choice or something that you really want to be inflexible about. And I think it's softened me in a way that it's like, okay, you know what? It doesn't have to be this red sweater. It could be a green sweater, and that also looks good. And
Yeah,
that's
like
fine.
negotiating is like negotiating with children. But it sounds like your
Yes.
kids are like amazing. Have this incredible creativity. So they'll probably be, like I mentioned, they'll probably be our future creative people. Um, I just want to thank you so much for joining me and talking about the show, but just also getting to know you a little bit. So I hope we can have you back. You'll come back at some point. And
Yeah, I would love
like I said,
that.
I love supporting, my fellow Canadians, especially what's going on in the world right now, right? And also,
Um,
I had Michael Ground on as well, and it's just really, really nice to have, that the film community in Toronto is so strong right now, and I love supporting it. So, and you're in CAFCAT as well, is that correct?
I'm not currently in Kashkad, but I
Oh,
have been
okay.
involved with them in the past.
Oh,
But what
okay,
you're
great.
saying
Yeah.
is right that, and I
Yeah.
was listening to Liz Vastola was talking about doing Twisted Metal here, and she actually was so nice. She gave me a shout out because I had done some buying for her on the show, and Chris Hargadon had as well. And she was mentioning, and I think it's true that in Canada, maybe because it's so small, we all really support each other. Like we know each other, we support each other. If someone needs help on one thing, we'll go and help them. And it's very like, I think it's a really supportive and close knit community here.
Yeah, and I've had all of them on my show, so I'm
Yeah.
big fans of everybody there. Liz, I've actually had her on a couple of times, so
Oh, amazing.
I adore her work, and yeah, just really anyway. So I just joined CapCat. That's what I was asking you because
Okay.
I just am sort of getting to know the community a bit more, but anyway, so I've been a big fan of yours, so really
Oh,
delighted
thank
to get to
you.
chat with you today. And everyone, The Miniature Wife is on Peacock. If you're still with us here, please go and watch it if you haven't seen it. It's a wonderful show. It's also kind of wholesome, right? Like
Yeah.
there's some, wonderful sort of I think, just wholesomeness to it. And I think that everyone, I think there might be a little bit of language, but other than that, there's nothing really like this.
There is because I've been watching it with my children,
Yeah.
there is quite a bit of language
Okay. There's quite a bit of
going,
language.
but, you know,
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us. And I hope you watch The Miniature Wife. Have a great day.
thank you.
Thanks, Laura.